Christianity. Christianity teaches that the first man was Adam and the first woman was Eve, created by God in the Garden of Eden. Adam was formed from the dust of the ground, and God breathed life into him. Eve was created from Adam's rib to be his companion and partner. They were placed in Eden to live in harmony with God and care for creation. However, they disobeyed God by eating from the tree of knowledge after being tempted by the serpent. This act, known as the fall, introduced sin and mortality into the human experience. Christians see Adam and Eve as the ancestors of all humanity. Their story conveys themes of free will, disobedience, and the promise of redemption through Christ. Islam. In Islam, Adam is regarded as the first prophet and human, created by Allah from clay. God breathed his spirit into Adam, making him a living being. Hawa, or Eve, was created as Adam's partner so that he would not be alone. They lived in paradise and were commanded not to eat from a certain tree. Shaitan deceived them, and they both disobeyed Allah by eating from it. Unlike in Christianity, blame is not placed solely on Eve. Both share responsibility equally. They repented, and Allah forgave them, though they were sent to live on earth. Muslims see Adam and Hawa as the parents of humanity and models of repentance. Judaism. Judaism also holds that the first man was Adam, and the first woman was Eve, created by God in Eden. Adam was shaped from the earth, and Eve was formed from one of Adam's ribs. They lived in the Garden of Eden, enjoying a close relationship with God. The serpent tempted Eve, who then gave Adam the forbidden fruit, leading to their exile. Jewish interpretations vary, with some emphasizing the symbolic meaning of the story. In rabbinic tradition, Eve is not viewed as the sole cause of sin, but as part of humanity's shared responsibility. Some Jewish texts also mention Lilith, a figure sometimes described as Adam's first wife who refused to be subservient. Overall, the narrative stresses human choice, responsibility, and the origins of moral struggle. Hinduism. Hinduism does not emphasize a single pair of first humans like Adam and Eve. Instead, creation stories often describe humanity arising from cosmic beings and divine acts. One account speaks of Manu, the first man, who survived a great flood and is considered the progenitor of humankind. His companion, sometimes identified as Shatarupa, is described as the first woman. These figures represent the beginning of human life in Hindu tradition. Hindu cosmology also speaks of endless cycles of creation and destruction, so there is no single starting couple for all existence. The story is more symbolic, representing order emerging from chaos. Rather than focusing on original sin, Hinduism emphasizes duty, karma, and spiritual growth. Buddhism. Buddhism does not have a story of a first man and woman in the same way as Abrahamic religions. Instead, it teaches that the universe goes through cycles of creation and dissolution. Early Buddhist texts describe beings originally existing in radiant forms before becoming more material and human-like. As desires and attachments grew, distinctions of sex, society, and family arose. This means that humanity evolved gradually rather than being descended from one couple. Buddhist teachings focus less on origins and more on the reality of suffering and the path to enlightenment. Creation myths are often treated as secondary to spiritual practice. Thus, the idea of a first man and woman is not central in Buddhism. Sikhism. Sikhism teaches that God created the universe and humanity, but it does not describe a specific first man and woman. The emphasis is on God as the eternal creator who brought everything into being. Humanity is seen as part of this divine creation, all equal before God. Sikh texts focus more on the relationship between humans and the Creator than on a literal origin story. All people are considered children of God without a single pair of ancestors like Adam and Eve. This approach reflects Sikhism's stress on unity and equality of all humanity. The story of creation is not a historical account, but a spiritual truth. What matters most is devotion, good deeds, and remembrance of God. Taoism. Taoism does not have a clear story of the first man and woman. Instead, Taoist cosmology speaks of the Tao as the eternal source of all things. From the Tao emerged yin and yang, whose balance created heaven, earth, and life. Some myths mention figures like Pangu, a cosmic giant who shaped the world. After Pangu's death, humans eventually emerged from the transformations of nature. In some traditions, Nuwa and Fuxi are portrayed as divine siblings who created and taught humanity. They are sometimes seen as the first man and woman in Chinese mythology. Taoism's emphasis is less on a single couple and more on harmony with the natural flow of the Tao. Baha'i Faith. The Baha'i Faith accepts that God created humanity but does not promote a literal story of a first man and woman. Instead, it views religious creation accounts symbolically as metaphors for spiritual truths. Adam is regarded as one of the manifestations of God, a prophet who began humanity's conscious spiritual journey. The story of Adam and Eve is seen as an allegory for humanity's awakening to moral responsibility. Eve's role is not one of blame, but part of a symbolic narrative. The Baha'i Faith emphasizes unity and equality between men and women, avoiding interpretations that demean women. Rather than focusing on origins, it stresses humanity's purpose in knowing and serving God. creation is seen as ongoing, with all humanity sharing one divine ancestry. Zoroastrianism. In Zoroastrian tradition, the first man was Gaiamart, or Gaia Maritan, a shining primordial figure. From his death, the first human couple, Mashya and Mashyana, emerged from the earth. They were twins who became the ancestors of all humankind. Their creation is seen as part of the cosmic struggle between good and evil. They were tempted by Angra Mainyu, the evil spirit, but eventually turned back toward Ahura Mazda, the supreme god. Their story emphasizes the human role in choosing good over evil. Humanity's origin is therefore tied to moral responsibility. The myth reflects Zoroastrianism's dualistic worldview of divine order versus destructive forces. Jainism. Jainism does not describe a specific first man and woman. Instead, it teaches that the universe is eternal, with no beginning or end. Humans have always existed in cycles of time, along with gods and other beings. There is no concept of a single ancestral couple from whom everyone descends. Instead, Jain teachings focus on the souls that inhabit all living beings. The emphasis is on karma and liberation rather than creation myths. Stories of great teachers, the Tirthankaras, replace the idea of first humans. Jainism's outlook sees humanity as part of an eternal process of existence and rebirth. Confucianism. Confucianism does not focus on myths of the first man and woman. Its primary concern is ethics, social order, and human relationships rather than cosmology. However, in Chinese cultural tradition, Nuwa and Fuxi are often described as the first ancestors of humanity. Nuwa is said to have created humans from clay, while Fuxi taught them skills for survival. These figures serve as cultural symbols of human origins. Confucian thought absorbed such myths, but emphasized their moral lessons rather than their literal truth. The focus is on cultivating virtue, harmony, and respect within society. Thus, the story of humanity's beginnings plays a minor role compared to ethics. Shinto. Shinto teaches that the first man and woman were the deities Izanagi and Izanami. They were sent by the older gods to bring order to the chaotic world. Standing on the heavenly bridge, they stirred the sea with a jeweled spear, forming the Japanese islands. Izanagi and Izanami then descended and gave birth to many gods and natural elements. Izanami died, giving birth to the fire god, and Izanagi purified himself afterward, giving rise to more deities. These two are considered the divine ancestors of Japan. While not humans in the ordinary sense, they represent the origin of humanity in Japanese tradition. Their story highlights the sacredness of nature and the divine roots of life. If you liked this video, you won't want to miss our next one, Every Major Religion's View on Conversion. We'll explore how faiths around the world understand what it means to join or embrace their tradition. From welcoming rituals to deep spiritual transformations, each religion has its own unique perspective. Stay tuned, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss it.